right, everyone, welcome back. Hope you brought your rogue energy because it's going to be a good old-fashioned nurse versus twins on ARP. We get to see who is the true queen of ARP now. As we've seen nurse before, we've seen twins. I'm not going to lie. I think twins has an advantage because I think they're more territorial. It can hold a 3 to 4 gen better than nurse. But that might just be me. What do you think, Gil?
I would tend to agree for the most part. That being said, we have quite the skilled nurse here on Vice. We'll have to wait and see what comes of this match. That being said, a very early chase here on the Cheryl and a very early down to boot.
That's going to be rough, as that is going to be first hook incoming at a very early time. And this is, I believe, if I remember correctly, Dark Owl's a surviving first, correct?
That is correct. So this is Vice killing first against Dark Owl Survivor team. And that there will be the first hook. And already a few perks revealed that you guys would have seen from Corrupt Intervention, Dying Light, and of course our 2 add-ons that we are seeing here. And Nurse looking around. They will get an unhook pretty quickly thereafter.
Very surprising, as you usually wait for the nurse to be a bit further away. But now this survivor is going to be a prime tunnel target. I imagine that might have just been a very eager deli player trying to get that deli as much as possible. But yeah, that's like, unless there's, is this decisive Dead Heart? Is this a decisive Dead Heart player?
I mean, it's not such a world possibility, but doesn't look to be the case. This is going to be the second hook here on the Cheryl, that there will be them 1 hook away from being sent back to campfire via the entity. And so far, no gens completed either.
Indeed. Yeah, I'm about to say, like, the gens aren't done yet. A little bit of progress on that generator. It looks like Nancy coming in for the unhook here again. They've got 2 different generators being worked on, so they... Oh, who's stealthing out over there? Is that... Okay, so Claude... Okay, so they kicked the gen, so they would have seen Pop Goes Weasel then.
Yes, they would have seen Pop Goes Weasel. That is the 3rd of 4 perks that the nurse has brought here today. 4th one's still a little bit of an unknown.
I love the style of builds that we're starting to see on Nurse Player. It was stagnant last season. It was the same 4 perks, but now we're seeing Dying Light creep in. Dueling Tremor still used occasionally, and a Rancor. Oh, I love it. I love this guild.
Yeah, definitely it's quite a diverse slate of perks that we have here in our meta. At least for the S tiers, we're seeing some new stuff on Nurse, some new stuff on Spirit. We're seeing Spies in the Shadows sometimes as well. However, Cheryl might not be seeing much for much longer, as this could be her sent back to campfire unless there's a pallet stun, and there it is.
Oh, they actually do get the pallet stun, and that's huge for the survivor. However, not really making much with it. I'm kind of surprised. Oh, Nancy wants a flashlight save, and Nurse kind of getting a read there. Now the problem is that this survivor is going to be, well, okay, they're safe for the moment, but they're going to be now slugged out. Ooh, but they finish another gen. Okay, never mind. They're not going to continue this chase. Wait, now you're back under the... No, okay, no pallet stun.
Yeah, it's not close enough for Nancy to sneak on in and get that pallet stun from the front. Not to mention you risk getting hit by the nurse all the while.
Oh, yeah.
That being said, that is going to be Cheryl sent back to campfire via the entity. And let's take a look and see where these survivors are at. Nancy pretty far ways away. About 80% on that gen there. Though it sounds like Nurse is approaching, and a Claudette on Shack gen as well. Though that gen there going to be pressed by 30% of its current progression from Pop Goes the Weasel, and it looks like Nurse has found another survivor to be in chase with, though not gonna go for the chase. Instead, gonna check that on the gens.
No kidding. Is it okay? There's a discussion to be had. We see Pop Goes the Weasel everywhere. Is Pop too strong?
I think it really depends, because before you needed at least 50% of the gen to be, you know,
effective,
viable.
Yeah.
Now it's a little bit less, like, you know, 40%, 45%. But I mean, realistically speaking, it's just as strong as some of the other perks in the same ballpark. So give or take, especially with Eruption not being a viable option right now because of the orb reading that it provides, and also the Co's not really needing it. I think Pop is in an okay-ish place at the very least.
Indeed. Worth noting is that Dying Light is getting some sick value right now. It's at 4 stacks for 12% slowdown, I believe. It's pretty nasty.
However, we'll note that Nancy unaffected by it. We do see
True.
Nurse going back to the unknown gears, trying to get the hit on Michaela. Will successfully get it. There's the firecracker for an attempted line, but it will not land. Third gen popping off in the distance by the Nancy. Looks like Michaela will not go down just yet, however.
Yeah, they got hung up on that car. I think they wanted to blink past the car and cut Michaela off, but getting a little bit short blinked. And now, do they still have the 3-gen is the question. I know they're trying to jam it out already, but do they still have it? Yeah, they still have a 3-gen on Shaq's side.
Yeah, it does appear that way. Nurse kind of taking stock of their surroundings as well. Going for the pickup on Michaela. No footsteps incoming, so no pallet stun there. That there will be, I believe, the first hook on her, so 2 fresh hooks here between these survivors. And I believe Claudette still has yet to be hooked, if I'm not mistaken.
It looks like
no,
it's
sorry,
from
to Nancy. Yeah, you're right.
Which, I mean, makes sense if you're the killer. You might be not wanting to prioritize urgency is your obsession. Get as many hooks on the non-obsessions as possible. And it looks like, at the moment, Nancy's the only one able to really work on gens with any, without any significant slowdown. And that is 5 stacks now for dying like good old 15%. Oh, they mean to sprint burst? Or are they 40%ing?
Yep. Yeah, so what they're doing there by proccing the sprint burst was basically ensuring that by the time they complete the gen, they'll have another sprint burst available to them. However, we heard the Nurse making the way over towards the Nancy, so that may have not been the best of plans.
You never know, and especially okay. So now that I've seen Sprint Burst, I am most definitely feeling like this could be the deli player. In that case, getting hooked isn't the worst. That gives your 2 survivors plenty of ample time to work on a generator.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, we're getting close to the 5th gen being completed shortly. We see 4th gen just about done by the Nancy. Keep in mind now both Claudette and Michaela are going to be slowed down by Dying Light, which is now at 5 stacks. So it's going to be quite significant.
Yeah, it's like an anti-prove thyself practically. The question is, are they at the shack? Oh, you can see a survivor running away from shack now. There's the deli, immediately going to go back to their generator, I imagine, which, like you said, is fairly progressed. Now I'm beginning to wonder is, can you finish the gens back here? So yeah, they're going to get popped on this gen. I imagine shack gens also being worked on. How do you break this region, especially if this Nurse can blink through shack?
It's going to be a difficult task, and it's really going to come down to just patience. It's going to come down to them just trying to get as much progress as possible in between chases. And at the end of the day, it looks like Claudette going to go to the edge map to try and gain a little value, give their survivor teammates a little bit of time. We see the 4th gen popping off, but like you said, this 5th gen is going to be a hard task, and there's kind of losing the survivor on ground there.
Just for a little bit, and worth noting is that I think that might be the most Rancor value we've seen because it gave a snapshot perfectly to tell the Nurse where the survivor was. But yeah, it's going to be second hook for Claudette. I imagine they're going to be resetting what is it, Michaela and Nancy here, potentially, as, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that Mangled add-on is freaking brutal.
Yeah, it's not too bad. At the same time, at this point in time...
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah, I was about to say, where did that come from?
Michaela, you crazy? I can't believe they didn't see the Michaela behind them, but they're just gonna go for the tunnel out on the Claudette here. Now, the question is, can they spread out and do one more gen? If they can get 5 gens done here, their killer has a very achievable win condition.
Yeah, no joke. And as I was about to say, the reason why that Mangle stat is still available for the Nurse and her add-ons is because, honestly, Nurse not doing too great as far as lethality is concerned, especially as the Decisive Strike going to come into play here. But the survivors on edge map, you know, they don't exactly have much going for them there.
And they're not even going to commit because they know that, well, maybe they commit? I don't know. About to say, they know they have Dead Hard most likely. Now they're worried about their gens, which does make sense. Little bit of progress here, but I don't know if this was the gen being worked on.
It looks like there's multiple gens of multiple bits of progress. We see Nurse looking at maybe the Michaela there, trying to figure out who they are on in the moment. Nurse mid-blink, so gonna have to switch on back there, and looks like they are on the Nancy, I believe.
I said with Decisive in play, Nancy's no longer the obsession, which means she's slowed down.
That is true, which does actually might work out here because Nancy's now in chase, meaning Claudette now has the ability to work on gens without much concern.
That's a good point, especially since Claudette is definitely, they do not want to be in chase anymore. Looking over here, I believe this was where Michaela was. Yeah, Michaela's going to get not a lot of distance here, and they are going to go down. this is not what the survivors wanted. You need to be able to get to the other side of the map. But I guess with desperation mode kicking in, you really can't afford to heal. Oh,
We
never
say
mind.
that, however, we see the Claudette
I hate it here.
Mind you, they are not slowed down by Dying Light because they are the Obsession, so it's just the normal 24 seconds of heal time in comparison to what could have been much, much longer for that self-heal.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that, but yeah, Pop Goes was coming in, and now you have both your gens on either side working for you. It's, I'll be honest, at this point with the Michaela going down right there, I don't know what you can do to get this 5th generator done. It's going to be pretty abysmal here. But you see Claudette hanging out, trying to wait for the nurse to do something, but like nurse doesn't have to do anything. Now, what you could do is, because this is ARP, if the exit gates are split, you do have some, you know, in-game shenanigans. No, never mind. They're on the same. Of course, they're on the same side of the field.
Yeah, we at least saw one right there. I didn't get a chance to look around for the second one.
It's
but
behind
if
Shaq.
they are behind Shaq, yeah, that is the
Yeah.
case, then things are looking quite grim. I mean, we see the one there behind Shaq, but where's the second one?
To the
Oh, there
right.
it is. Yep, never mind.
They're literally right next to each other. It's, wait, what?
Nancy, coming out of nowhere, completed the 5th gen!
With 18% slowdown, you are kidding me.
Apparently,
That's insane.
just
How did they
the
manage that?
The Survivor just buying enough time to make it happen. It's looking like potentially a 2-man out here. Nancy will go down, though I imagine there's going to go for the slug. Taking a look at the other exit gate. If we're looking at the progress, though, it's about to be open. Michaela on her way. Nurse fatigued out, and yeah, looks like Nurse going to drop back and instead go for the 2K here.
It makes sense. Nancy represents the most hook stages. The other 2 survivors are going to get out with 1 hook stage left. This survivor, well, also, you'd be fair, you can't leave them for too long because they haven't used Unbreakable this game. They're the deli player.
Yeah, that is fair. That is fair. And so,
Two
right
stages
choice there
out.
by the nurse. But yeah, honestly, the 2-man out was very unexpected result there with the 3-gen. But Survivor's able to make it work, fighting through the Dying Light. And that there will be the end of trial number 1. With that being said, we are going to get set up for trial number 2 in just a moment.
All right, everyone, welcome back to trial number 2. What is going to be a very interesting set as Twins versus Nurse on ARP. Survivors in the previous trial pulling out kind of a magic trick, getting a 5th generator done and getting some outs when it honestly looks like a hopeless scenario. It's going to be like a 4K1, and now Twins has a very achievable win condition. And look at that, Guildspire. That is a 4-gen if I've ever seen one for Twins.
Yeah, it's a good spot for them too. It's a little bit more spread out than they probably would like, mind you, but it's still doable.
True, but again, with territorial kills, I would put Twins in the ballpark as someone that could definitely hold this. Obviously, you might want it more as an artist potentially, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll let them play it out. You know, I'm not gonna call it here. Let's see what happens. Oh, Jake, look at they're eyeing up. Oh, okay, never mind. Victor is now very coherent and very fine. Oh.
But Jake getting the dodge, surprisingly enough. Also, really strange thing, Victor with the screen tearing, but Charlotte without the screen tearing. Really strange thing, but looking at these survivors, not a lot of progress on gens as we do see Jake get pounced on by Victor there.
So, to be fair, there are some times where the screen tearing doesn't happen. I'll switch between survivors and I'll come back and it's fine. Also, leaving their gens just a little bit briefly. Maybe they want to get some tags on the survivors, check their other gens before coming back and securing this. Again, they have the full 2 minutes of corrupt. You know this gen right here isn't going to get a lot of progress. And Ace, do they see you? Oh my goodness, Ace stealthing out like a mad lad.
Yeah, Ace playing with fire right there, but Claudia on main side right now, about 50% into this gen.
And it looks like Nancy can be taking chase on the Shack side now, going towards the back. Mind gaming a little bit around this pallet. I'm waiting for Victor to be recalled here. I'm kind of surprised they haven't been. Maybe they're just content to let, Jake stay injured for the eternity of the game.
I mean, at the very least, what it does allow is for them to not work on gens during this time. Now, Cartoon Convention did just end, so yeah, Twins is going to have to get something and get something done quick because these survivors are about to complete at least 1 generator here. We see Ace about maybe 20% on that gen. Claudia about to complete this generator here, unless Victor pounces on them real quick. I do believe they will complete that. Nancy, though, in Shack as well, and that's Deja Vu from Nancy, but a rank 4 on the Twins.
Yeah, they did see the survivor over here. Looks like this is the injured Jake throwing down a firecracker. Gonna be holding this area for the vault. They jump over, but I don't know if you can get this with Victor. This is gonna be some serious mind. Oh, there they go.
Yeah, Jake trying to get out of dodge,
Don't
but
do it,
Victor
don't.
not able to pounce up the incline, and Jake will get the kick after all.
I was screaming in my head. Don't. I don't think it's the incline. That bus right there at the entrance just has some honestly awful collision. You'll get Billy bumps there. Like, it is absolutely awful. And they finished a gen on the 3-gen side.
Yeah,
so now one gen less.
That is pretty huge to say the least. These survivors doing a fantastic job managing these gens, getting things done, and holding Twins' attention.
Oh,
That's
no.
the 3rd gen here as well. I believe that may have been the Claudette gen that we saw earlier. Now, mind you, we did see a brief hint of agitation right there as they did have Jake on their shoulder. Twins back out on the prowl for another survivor. We see this gen here, maybe about 25%, and Nancy taking a pounce from Victor. Claudette now on a different gen, and it looks like Nancy all the way over on Shaq's side right now is going to keep Victor for a while. And Twins just content taking a look at these gens and potentially finding the Claudette here.
Yeah, but worth noting is that the gen that was popped, it's actually a 2-2 split now. The killer has lost all semblance of a 3-gen, and now how do you hold this when the gens are split across the eye? This is not where the Twins wants to be. Survivors did a really good job denying any early pressure. Looks like they're going for the tunnel out here on the Jake, if at all possible. But again, with the 2 survivors unencumbered right now, that's 2 gens 90 seconds from now should be popping.
Yeah, that would make the most sense. Jake going down, though, not able to get up to a locker in time, as I think that was their plan. Twins, though, looking around for the Nancy now, see if they can get a little bit of a slug play. Nancy making the right call, jumping into a locker, but Twins sensing that there might just be another survivor nearby.
With that gen revving like it is at almost 90%, I would imagine so as well. The question is, I don't know where they are, and Twins has to walk so far to get there. This survivor's recovering this whole time. Yeah, and they're gonna be able to finish this generator, which means Claudette's generator is gonna pop soon too. Oh,
yeah,
my
about
goodness.
50%, 45 seconds away. Nancy going down, but Ace kicking Vic out the blue and unable to get the pickup. Ace will go away. That being said, things are looking a little tricky now here.
That's a good point. There is no unbreakable against this killer. Ace is gonna take a tag, and unless... I guess who has the adrenaline? Does Claudette have it?
That's a good question. We'll have to wait and see. We see the pickup
they get
on
the
the
pickup.
Jake at the very least. Looks like Ace going to force the pick if they want to get them in Shaq. And that might give them enough time to get the pickup on the Nancy as well. We'll have to see as, yeah, looks like Twins will take the pick, giving these survivors a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, I was about to say, Claudette, to be fair, they did force Claudette off her 50% gen. There's the pickup on the Nancy. Imagine they're going back, but that's going to be a pain resonance on the Claudette's generator, which gives them a little bit more time to try and recover the snowball. Oh, crow! Did they see the crow?
I think they might have. Victor looking around trying to find where the survivor is. We see Jake on this gen on the other side of the map here on main side, about 70% in. We see one survivor, looks like Claudette, creeping their way over towards the Unhook, and Nancy now joining Jake as well. This is going to be the 5th generator completed in here in just a few moments.
Yeah, the Twins had a chance there, but man, survivors have just absolutely taken this game over by force. And unless Claudette had the adrenaline, there's no adrenaline in this game, which is actually kind of terrifying. I would bring adrenaline against these killers.
Yeah, no adrenaline, a quick locker hop, avoiding the Victor pounce, getting the kick as well. And yeah, at this point in time, it's just a matter of how many survivors are going to escape via the exit gates.
And at the very least, 2 of them are fresh, which means that there's a lot of points being represented here. This could be a potential blowout. Oh, but they... Okay. Technically, if you 4-man slug right now, you can still win this, but you've got a whole lot of pressure, and there's a survivor in that locker that we're perspective. So they're going to be able to finish this and get it open.
They're able to also just quick and quiet out as well, so Victor being none the wiser. We do see the pounce on the Claudette, meaning that they cannot escape via the exit gates right now. Not to mention this exit gate just not up and running. Nancy crawling out the exit gate. Looks like we see the Ace here in main building going down. Claudette kind of caught out here, cannot get rid of Victor, so it's looking like it might be a 2K here for the Twins.
It's a very good possibility, but both Jake and Nancy are in the exit gate, which means they can heal up potentially and get as many outs as they need to and come back in. But I think you're right. Yeah, with this Survivor running around at the end, going corner, you have to go back. You've got 3-man slug. Oh, they're just going to go for the pick. They want the points. I mean, to be fair, Claudette hasn't been hooked yet. That represents a lot of points there. They get to pick up on the ace, though. So they're just going to let Nancy be in the exit gate, and that looks like it's going to be a 3-man out.
Yeah, I mean, the benefit of the slug, funny enough, is that it does slow down EGC as well, so a little thing to note there. Give these survivors a little bit more time to kind of play around. That there's going to be the 3-man out for Vice's survivors. So they're going to walk away victorious here in set number 1. That being said, we're going to get set up for set number 2 now in just a moment, where we are going to be seeing, I believe it is going to be Dark Owl's Plague, and it is a Plague mirror match this time on the Suffocation Pit.
Ooh, we've seen a couple of those already this week, and they have been some brutal matches. I think one of them took almost 20 minutes. It was just like, all right, everyone, welcome back to trial number 3, set number 2. The Plague Extravaganza is about. Okay, I was waiting for the Plague to, like, you know, register that something's happening, but they are in a nice little 3-shot on one side, one pool in the middle. Oh, sorry, on this side. I think one pool kind of, yeah, it's on the opposite side. So they have a pool on either side of the map right now. That's not a bad start. No matter where the game goes, they've got something.
Yeah, it's not a bad place to be. It's going to be up to the survivors now to determine where they're going to cleanse, and if they're going to cleanse, I suppose, is the real question.
Well, we do see the Blessed Apple, and honestly, unless you take triple apple, I don't really see survivors cleansing. Like, a lot of them have been having to wait it out, and yeah, there's that head-on.
Yeah, we saw them in the lock, and I was wondering what might have been up, and then I saw the perk and went, okay, well, this checks out. That being said, Jake did get infected, all the while it looks like the Plague here just looking to get these early infections, not going for early downs.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You don't really care, because once they're infected, like, they got to do something. If they don't do something, then they're not doing gens. They're not progressing the game state. That is absolutely A-okay, and they do manage to get Nancy on the leg there, and that's going to be a second survivor infected. Looks like they might be actually sticking to Chase here, potentially, as a... No, they're going to swallow that one and go to the next generator. No progress on it today. Jake isn't doing nothing. They did come over here and start working on a gen as they seem to be running away. They've got a good fortune over here, actually. One's kind of in the middle, but honestly, it's really... Man, these are really easy to check.
Oh yeah, no, Plague in a really good spot as far as the gen locations are concerned. Will note that survivors are keenly aware of a Thanatophobia, slowing things down by 2% right now, but soon to be 4, if not 6%, if the Claudette also gets infected.
Indeed. Also, okay, so riddle me this. Did they just do a full 360 when vomiting? Or was that just me seeing things?
Honestly, wasn't paying enough attention, so can't really say for certain there.
I was like, is that a new tech? Is like to make sure that you vomit on the survivor, just do a 360 spin, so no matter where your vomit goes, it has to hit them? Like,
I mean,
that's how you
not
counter the spin tech.
You and I both know that is not true, though, with the collision of Plague's vomit, with it being as precise as a Deathslinger's Redeemer, things don't work out that way.
I mean, it worked out in this case. They did get infected. They were fully infected. They're in the chase. Ace being the only one that is no longer infected. One gen going down as the survivor takes their first. Okay, honestly, after the first one, I would check that too. But Jake has head on and they're infected, so that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, no. Looks like Plague may have not known who hit them with the head-on
there.
Oh,
you're right, because they had they had no scratch marks. You're right.
Yep, that is true with that parental guidance. We do see a Scourge of Pain Resonance hit that gen the Ace was on, though.
Ooh. True. Okay, now we're getting in some deep deductive skills. I will point out, they were in chase with Ace when they got head-ons, which means that Ace, the only one who is currently uninfected, couldn't have head-on.
That is true. That is true.
Ultimate deductive skills, anyway.
I don't think the killer's thinking that in
for sure.
in the moment, as they do grab their purge here, so it looks like they're trying to secure a second stage here. I mean, this is the best way to do so. However, since they had to go as far away as they did, they were not able to protect this unhook. We do, however, see Ace now infected. Survivors are going to have to cleanse soon unless they do give the Plague full Thanatophobia stacks.
That new vault is so rough. So I haven't seen the timing precisely pointed out, but someone said that it is the equivalent, you get the equivalent distance to a mid-vault, so there's no difference in fast vaulting and mid-vaulting right now. Is that true?
I don't know. I'd have to do a little bit more research on that. I will say that one was a little bit rough. It was a bit more of a mid-vault than it was a fast there for the Claudette, so hard to say for certain in the grand scheme of things. That being said, she is one hook away from being sent back to the campfire via the entity regardless, and we are going to reveal the fourth turn here that there of being a pop goes the Weasel, regressing that gen by 30% of its current progression.
Indeed, and if I was Ace now that you're almost fully infected, I think, oh, never mind. But I say your best thing here is just to walk around and not give him, but now that is that full 20% Thanatophobia value kicking in, and it forges. Oh, they're using all their power now. They didn't get to use their power the first time, so they only have 40 seconds of power.
So here's my problem with them doing this though, because right, they have the power, which means that they can camp this survivor to death. You rob yourself of 12% slowdown from Thanatophobia. That's one reason why I hate current version of Thanatophobia in comparison. However, we do see the unhook here. We see the slug out on the Nancy. I think they're gonna go for the Ace, but no, they're gonna go for Claudette instead, which is just counterproductive to the perk. That's why that perk irks me so. But dropping Chase on the Claudette goes for the Ace instead here. A little bit of extra time on the Corrupt Purge, and I think they're wondering whether or not the Ace is gonna slam Pallet here. Ace thinking about it too. They choose not to. Now going on short side of the pallet, trying to get the mind game going. Ace right there in front and will get down.
Yeah, really good job. And yeah, so in all fairness though, 6% slowdown across the gens is still not the worst, but I would agree, like, or is it, it's 6%, right?
It would be 6%, you're correct.
Yeah, so 6% slowdown across everything is not bad. Not to mention, Claudette now cleanses, you're back at 6%. So it's kind of give a little, but to be fair, you do have your power now. I'm curious where the survivors keep it. I imagine they gave it to them on Shack side. Like the furthest Shack one, right?
We'll have to take a look in a second. We're going to see Pop Goes Weasel regress this gen, and yeah, looks like that is in fact Shack side. However, there's still a gen nearby there, which is the biggest concern. Plague might end up there eventually, as we do see two survivors coming in for the unhook, and looks like one here on the corner of the map. That there is the Nancy.
Yeah, about to say, keep her away from that gen as much as possible. You can hold down line of sight, and if they do try to go for that unhook, you have distance as a 115 killer to make it to both, you know, whatever target you want to here and cut them off. So, not a bad spot. I imagine we might even see progress the second stage. There's a second cleanse, though. Survivors, I'm kind of surprised they're cleansing, honestly. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is, especially as I don't think we saw the Jake actually making their way. No, Jake was making the way over towards the unhook, but it might be a little bit too late unless the Plague actually hits them with their M1. I don't think they're going to be able to make it to the hook in time, and sure enough, there it is. Entity summoned.
Yeah.
That survivor's now one hook away from being sent back to the campfire via the Entity, and Jake might get full infected here out in the open.
It's a very good point. They're blocking off the windows, not letting them vault. That's almost there. Yeah, there is the full infection. There's no... Yeah, they're going to force the pick, but that is the full infection there. And yeah, with second stage secured, I imagine Cloud is probably going to be able to finish that third generator, but then it comes down to, like we said, there is a 3 to 4 gen on the other side of the map, which they did break the 4 gen. I think they broke the 4 gen on Suppo's side, but now you've got a 3 gen still.
Yeah, that being said, Cloud out on a gen with some progress. I want to say this was the gen that the Ace was on earlier, but kept on getting it by Scourgehook Pain Residence. That being said, Plague was still 3 Scourge Hooks in hand, so even though these survivors might be on Death Hook, Plague has not gotten a lot of Scourge Hook value.
That's a good point. And to be fair, the 2 powers they've had, they've only had 1 hit with their power, so maybe that's the other reason servers are cleansed. Are like, well, you know, it's not Devotee's Amulet. We don't have to worry about, 60-second powers. Let's just cleanse. Let's just cleanse on the other side of the map and force them to come over here, but eventually you're going to run out of pools.
Yeah, that is a big part of it, which means the Plague kind of needs to manage the pools and might just needs to start grabbing them bit by bit. I think she's realizing that too as she's going to ingest the corruption here, grabbing the Corrupt Purge and see what they can do as Claudette, I'm pretty sure cleansed and is now immediately reinfected.
I think that might be the case. Yeah, I think there's 2 survivors doubling down on it. No, wait, where are these 2? Interesting. Yeah, they are going to be fully infected. That is her and Jake plowing away on this gen. No, it's... Wait, which survivor is this?
Well, that was Claudette right there. I want to say...
There's 2 on it.
what may have happened, no, there's not 2 survivors here, I don't think. I think that is just thanatophobia being thanatophobia. But yeah, I think a survivor who was infected came by and actually touched Claudette's gen, which made her infected. I'm not sure if that was a strategic move in order to try and force the cleanse on all the pools. I'm not sure if they just try to get a little bit of extra value on the gen or what, but Jake will go down at the pallet here. Only survivor not infected, but still injured, so thanatophobia once again slowing things down by 20%. These survivors definitely need to do something quick.
Yep, there's the pain res coming in as well. I think all 3 survivors were on the same hook, or on the same gen, which means I think they need to go back right now. Oh, never mind. I thought the gen had a lot more progress. Okay, so the 3 gen is still going to take some time to be broken up, it looks like.
Yeah, it does seem to be the case. And looks like Nancy now in chase with the Plague. Potentially a balanced landing here.
It makes the most sense. Honestly, with how close that was, I almost feel like the Plague could have swung and hit that maybe, but that would have been a very close call. But regardless, getting back into the middle of the map here, and someone's going to have to come in for that unhook eventually. I know that Ace and Claudette are jamming out the gen in the back right now, which Plague needs to be careful here. They can't afford to chase too long, even with 20% slowdown. They will gladly let the server die to double up this gen. But that could be another pain res.
Yeah, I was about to say, Nancy has yet to be hooked, so this is looking more and more like a Skirt Choke Pain Resonance incoming. And like we said, there's still 20% slowdown. That gen is going at a snail's pace.
Absolutely. But that's not a Skirt Choke.
No, but they
do
not get to the unhook in time.
Oh no, and that's only 1 survivor on the generator too. You just go over here, pop goes the weasel, and that might be lights out. They do get the unhook over on Nancy, but now with survivor out of the game, I don't know now. This might be tough for the survivors to pull anything out of now. That's gonna be really difficult.
Well, no, now, however, that thanatophobia only slowing things down by 6%, but Claudette caught out here, trying to go for the mind game. Will successfully mind game the Claudette here at the Z-wall. Play going for a swing, will end up missing. Looks like Claudette here very well aware that this is the strongest tile in all of DBD.
I was about to say, and I think Claudette also even has the life, but not using it for distance instead is going to go down back here, and yeah, that's a second survivor going out of the game here via the entity, and I don't know what these survivors, like, I at this point start checking exit gates. Ace, you are brazen, my dude. That, I didn't think they'd be sneaking back here. I guess Nancy could be back on the gen that they were getting pushed off of constantly, but besides that, where is Nancy?
That's a fantastic question. She's actually on a gen with a lot of progression, but missing a skill check as Plague nears. That'll be 10% off the gen in addition to 30% of its current progression. Now, Ace to jump back onto the hill, I believe. Plague knows that too. Looks like a sprint burst from the Ace, going to get them a little bit of distance.
That's so, and Plague going back in a very cornering position. Nancy's going to have to find a way to get to a shack, or, I'm going to say, I would go for Nancy. That's a dead zone back there. I think there's no pallet, is there?
Yeah, I don't think there is anything back here. There is a downed pallet, so he's going to break it, and Nancy's going to be able to make a little bit of distance over towards main, get the vault as well. And so this is going to be a little bit of a chase, so Plague does need to make it short if they are going to commit to this, as I imagine Ace is going to be on the gen at the hill, which was not regressed, mind you.
True, and they get the down on the Nancy. You can leave him slugged. Oh, it's going to be so close. 4% slowdown. I don't think Plague makes it back.
Enough.
And if there's an adrenaline,
it might be enough.
No adrenaline on Nancy, so they do finish the 5th gen, but this will be the 4K at 0 gens remaining. Wow, they actually do get the last one done. That is huge for these survivors. That's going to give their own killer a very much more achievable win condition.
Yeah, no, honestly, I wasn't sure it was going to make it there. That 4% slowdown from thanatophobia. Mind you, though, this is my argument for Dying. Well, I guess Dying Light would have also ended because Obsession is dead. That's another part that I hate about Dying Light. Like, I do genuinely think at this point in time in the meta, Dying Light is better than Thana. However, both have the one issue of when a survivor dies, whether it be the Obsession or, in this case, just anyone with thanatophobia, it loses so much value. That being said, though, Plague struggling to find a survivor slugged out here.
That's a good point. And they've only been hooked once, so that means that 1 point would be denied to the killer, making it effectively a 5K or five gens with one stage getting out potentially, but well,
There's
not even
no
one stage
shot-
getting out. But
Yeah, but there's no shot that they're crawling to the hatch, are they?
they were, I think. Are they to the right? I can't tell, but I mean, it would be smart for them to crawl to hatch, but at the same time, it's denying the points is also something to be said for that. So
Yeah,
I
now
don't
hatch
know.
closed. No shot of escape for this slug. That being said, only 2 minutes left on the clock. We'll be able to switch over a little bit earlier than normal with 90-second delay and see where exactly the survivor might be.
Indeed. Looking around the corners, yeah. And now I'm wondering, like, was it correct for them to commit to Nancy there? If you break the pallet and then go back to Ace, there's no longer that resource for them to get to the main building anymore. I'm wondering if taking the chase with Nancy after breaking the pallet was the correct play, or going back to Ace and pushing them off the gen. But at the same time, then you've got to watch that gen regress. Then Nancy gets that much progress on her.
Yeah,
That's
there's
tough.
a lot of give and take, to say the
There's a
least.
lot.
And we are about at that 90-second mark, but it won't matter. Plague finding her warming up next to that fire barrel there. It's quite cold in the suffocation pit, and that there will be the 4K here for Dark Owl's killer rats. And we are now going to be switching over to Vice killing against Dark Owl Survivor Team. And they are going to need to get a 4K at 4 gens or less in order to secure victory. Otherwise, we are going to set number 3.
Indeed. I'm about to say that if they get 5 generators done at the very least, so. All right, everyone, welcome back to trial number 4, the second half of a mirror from the plagues. And please show me that corrupt. Is that a split corrupt? That is is that a 5 gen?
It's a bit of a tight scenario here over on main side.
Oh no, and they have a full over here as well, and I do see that Devotee's amulet. Guilt, you can literally just hook someone in your 5 gen, drink your puke, and like camp them. Like this is a nightmare scenario for the survivors. Dark Elves is going to have to work some magic, and to be fair, in that nurse set in the first trial, they did work some magic. Let's see if they have it in them to do it again.
Yeah, looks like we do hear the plague on their way. Fangman avoiding him. Looks like Nancy in chase, though, as we speak. Nancy getting some good distance, not getting infected just yet, though probably will have to vault an infected object soon. And looks like Plague actually getting turned around as Nancy went into the middle of the jungle gym.
Yeah, 1 minute into the corrupt, and Nancy's doing the Lord's work here with these jukes, doing a really good job, and Plague's gonna disengage altogether, gonna go back and check their generators, vomiting on one. We see Michaela in the back, Yunjin already on one on a hillside. Imagine they have the balanced landing, and Adam getting chased off of theirs in the meantime. I think they might even be chasing Adam, potentially.
Yeah, Adam definitely moving around a little bit. Yeah, it's Michaela's gen, but nowhere to be found. Yunjin was on this gen here on the hill. They're trying to break into this 3 gen to the best of their ability, or rather 5 gen, I guess you could say. But Yunjin getting caught out in a little bit of an awkward scenario, as Plague should be able to get this infection. And there it is, first survivor infected.
But to say, do you prioritize the Yunjin? Maybe because if they're on that gen, you know they have balance. And balance is actually a really good thing for these survivors. It's like a pseudo sprint burst here on that hill. It lets them get away. Wait, Michaela's also infected, so she's on a gen somewhere.
Yep, I imagine she's probably on the gen that she was working on earlier. Adam did get the stun there without getting infected. Plague not infecting the pallet there mid-chase. Adam, though, making the way over towards the jungle gym, and looks like Plague once again going to disengage. There's the Nancy, maybe baiting this killer here, because we know full well that the Michaela is on the back gen. We did see a lucky break there, getting, or not a lucky break, a sprint burst, getting a little bit of distance there. And looks like really Michaela is full infected. That there will also reveal Thanatophobia, slowing things down by 2%, now 4% as of this moment.
Yeah, and they are going to be able to get the infection on the Atom now. And they do have that corrupt right next to them if they want to go for it. They're not going to go for it. They're going to go back and check their gens. Which one is being worked on and how much progress is it?
Yeah, there's Michaela, but she's kind of caught out in the middle of nowhere unless she finds a pallet to be under. That there's going to be the first down here, and like you said, you hook the survivor here in the 5 gen, things are going to get rough.
Absolutely. We'll have to see where the... Looks like we're going to be hooking right in, smack dab in the center of things. Oh, no? They want a specific hook, maybe?
could in fact be a Scourge Hook Pain Resonance. Let's see what the score event says, and sure enough, there it is. Regressing Gen by 25%.
But it wasn't this gen, worth noting. They do have Pop Ghost Weasel on that gen, though. The double Wombo combo. And now that I guess the question is, now that that gen was popped, which gen are they working on?
Yeah, that's a fair point. We do see a really aggressive unhook here. Do want to note Nancy now infected. Once they are broken and injured, that'll be 20% slowdown on these gens. We saw how impactful that was in the last match as well, as we will see the Michaela get a stun and a sprint as well. Nancy here with a sprint burst. I'm going to say that was Smash It from Michaela.
That's a very good point. That might have been, and we see multiple survivors running into the middle here. I wonder if they're going to just mass cleanse and force the power out. I mean, they haven't drank yet. And once they're all infected, why not, right?
Yeah,
also, how is
I
it
mean,
they're full infected and not injured?
It seems like the spectator delayed a little bit there. I'm not sure in what way, shape, or form, but yeah, definitely a little bit of a strange situation there. Either way, Survivors getting the first gen popped off over on Shaq's side. The Natophobia now on 4 stacks, 20% slowdown on these Survivors. I mean, I guess you just finish all the gens on Shaq's side and use that as your location to cleanse.
It's a very good possibility. We do see this gen back here is firing away on several cylinders. What I'm curious now is, now that I actually have an idea about what happened with the Nancy. I think what happened was she realized that she was about to be fully infected because we saw her walking there. And on the Plague side it showed up, or on the Spectre side it showed up as her being fully infected, but she was like one tick off. And so she took the hit so she wouldn't go down immediately. Which, again, smart play on the Nancy's part.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense, and looks like we do see Michaela here on the Shaq side gen. We see Adam kind of just hanging around in the middle. Nancy over here, I believe, with Michaela. And yeah, Plague just patrolling main side. These Survivors just trying to see what they can do and taking things nice and slow.
Well, okay, so now I'm curious what the cleansing pools look like for the Survivors. What do you say, finish your 2 gens on the Shaq side, everyone goes and simultaneously cleanses against the Plague, and resets everything?
I mean, you could attempt that, but we saw the pools there, and things are looking a bit rough. A, they had a corrupt pool here on Shaq's side. B, look at the rest of these pools that the Survivors see. They're almost entirely in that 5 gen, except for maybe 1 or 2 over here in the jungle gems. The last 2 of those are in the back of main. Almost impossible for these Survivors to get to without getting down.
That's a good point. It would be very difficult to sneak back there, to say the least, but regardless, looks like Michaela's gonna be caught on the Shaq side. Do the Survivors go and triple out a gen? Like, is it worth it?
It's through Thanatophobia. You're gonna have the gen efficiency penalty in addition to Thanatophobia. It's just not worth it. You need to cleanse, at least knock it down from 20% to 6, and then you can talk about tripling up on a gen, maybe.
Yeah, it looks like they are gonna be spreading out, and I'll be honest, this looks rough. It looks like they did send Yunjin back to the main building gen, and but she still has her power because of Devotee's Amulet. Nancy gonna be going down here, leaving her slug. They get the unhook, and I think they're just gonna go check their gens.
Yeah, I mean, first they're just going to get their pop value. I think they just wanted to get that. So Yunjin, I think, will be able to complete this gen even through. We do see Michaela currently cleansing. Once it drops down to 6, things are going to go a little bit faster here. But if there's a Scourge Hook Pain Resonance here, which I think it will be on Rats, that will be 25% off this gen.
Very possible. No, it wasn't. It wasn't a Pain Res.
Now the question is, where's the play going? She's going back to check the gen, but Yunjin gets it in time.
And they get that bolt. They're going to be able to get away. Dropping down. There's the bounce landing. Really well done. They're going to get the distance they need to get out of dodge. And with a pop in hand, nowhere to really go except this middle gen. And it's not going to be really worth it. So Survivors did a really good job breaking one of the gens. But the problem is, you got to do at least 2 more. At least. That's gonna be tough, and they're gonna be coming in, getting the pool here.
I mean, they know there's 2 Survivors back here in main that are kind of trapped like Rats. We do see the Adam there in the middle jungle gym, making their way over towards Shaq's side. Looks like Plague will follow them, trying to get the down here, but the tree just barely going to block it for Adam. Once again, the box, just the pinpoint precision there, but Adam going to force the pick, wasting the Plague's power just a little bit, as they won't be able to get this hook. Though Plague still 3 stacks of Scourge Hook, Pain Resonance in hand, and we are almost back to 4 stacks of Thanatophobia as well.
Absolutely. So I'm wondering if the survivors play this in a way of like diminishing the resources on the Plague side. Like obviously she still has Scourge Hook available on a couple survivors, but once you run out of pools and everything else, eventually you can start clawing it back. Right now they only have 4 stages. Ooh, a little bit of a
This is
there.
true. However, Yoonjin going to be the 5th here. Things are starting to grind down to a halt for these survivors. I think between the Scourge Hook, Pain Resonances that we've been seeing, the Pop Goes the Weasels that we've been seeing. I mean, the progression on these gens is coming down to 0, and with the Thanatophobia on 4 stacks now as well. I mean, the survivors need to strategically cleanse here to try and rob the Plague of at least some Thanatophobia value.
That's a good point, especially, so let's see, you probably have maybe 3 cleanses at most on, actually, how many pools do you have on Shaq's side? There may only be 2 pools.
There's 2 in the middle jungle gym and 1 in Shaq, so it's 3 total not on main side.
That's kind of rough. You only have a couple pools to pick from to cleanse, and as of right now, it looks like Yoonjin's just going to be hanging out, taking away this pallet so nobody can light over and get distance. Have to see if servers are able to make their way. I think someone might be back on that hill, Jen. I'm not sure, but like you said, with a survivor not cleansed, it's gonna be kind of difficult. Actually, is that the play? I guess the Plague holds it to the 2nd stage and then goes to patrol their gens again. Do you give them the 2nd stage?
I mean, so you give them the 2nd stage. So they take the 2nd stage now. Do you give them the death hook is the question. And that's still 60 seconds, but gens at this point are going to be at an additional 18 seconds with the Thanatophobia, right? So that's going to be 108 seconds that you're on a gen. You don't even have that with 2 people on. It's closer to probably, 60 seconds at that point. So 2 people double up on 1, you get that gen. But the 1 gen thereafter just grinds to a halt. Yes, you're going to move things down to 6% with the Thanatophobia. That's what we're going to see here of Yoonjin getting tunneled out of the game. But I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be enough.
Yeah, that's a good point. Looks like there's somebody bolting at main building. Do they have a gen ready to pop at this moment is the question. I don't know. It's going to be close once that's... Because that survivor's still technically in the game for a little bit, unfortunately. And yeah, that's going to be a pop. Oh, man, that's brutal. I just realized they have 2 kills behind, on either side of main building, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely a strong position for these survivors, at least those with balanced landing. But Plague looking like they may have found someone here. That there is the Michaela, a bit of a mind game here at the window vault. And looks like they are going to try and go back around. Plague with the swing and the miss. Michaela able to get back into the jungle gym, it looks like, but without a light, not going to make a lot of distance here.
Yeah, not going to be able to make him up. And that is going to be Death Hook, I believe, for Michaela as well. Yeah, Yoonjin had the balance landing, and they were the first one out of the game. 2nd person out of the game. If you're on 2 separate gens at this moment, they are!
Yeah, this could be something. It's a possibility of the 2 gens completing back-to-back. We'll have to see. Deja Vu actually coming in clutch here, getting them, I think, 1% additional 1%. Speed on that gen. We do see Spirit here, or not Spirit here. We do see the Plague here, though. Adam, going to the gen, I think, to complete it.
Yeah, it looks like they're rotating back around to the Nancy's gen. Either that, or they're trying to set up some kind of exit gate play. Yeah, they go down under the pallet. Both of them have been hooked once. They're not going to go to finish the gen. They know it's going to be a slug out. Oh. And I don't think Unbreakable's allowed against Plague. So this, they see the blood. They see the infected vault location, and that might just be the end of it. That was so close to them coming back. But yeah, Plague used the pop on Adam's gen, and then Nancy not able to complete theirs in time. Oh, that's so unfortunate.
Yeah, it came down to mere seconds, and once again, I think it comes down to the 4 stacks of Thanatophobia. They just were not cleansing through it. They were allowing 20% slowdown for a majority of this match instead of managing it via the pools in some way, shape, or form. Now it just comes down to this final chase, and I don't even think bleed out points matter here.
So in the event that they were able to go over and finish the gen, and then Nancy bleeds out, that's one. No, yeah, you're right. It's not. They don't get 1 point. Nah, you'd have to. That's so unfortunate because this gen was literally, we saw that it was 99. They just didn't have a chance to finish it. Well, I guess they could have, maybe. I don't know. But in the end, it still wasn't up between that and Adam's gen not able to be finished. Oh, this was such a close game.
Yeah,
this 5 gen was ruthless.
Well, and I have to give credit where credit's due to the Survivors. They did a fantastic
absolutely.
job trying to break into it. In fact, they did and almost completed 5 gens back there. So,
They
I mean,
really
all
did.
things considered, well-fought victory here by both sides. They both performed very, very well. Plague going to be giving Nancy a puke shower there just to end the match, send back in the campfire in style. And that there is going to end our match today with Vice walking away victorious here in set number 2. So congratulations to Vice walking away with the W here in round 4. And GG well played to Dark Elves for some very hard fought matches.